If we can go back to the horses, you mentioned every soldier had 5 horses. The reason for that is the horses get tired.
Yes.
And so you can cover a lot of ground in a single day.
Yes. Usually the way the rotation of the horses would, the horse would usually ride for one day and then rest for the next 4 to 5 days. And then another horse would be riding the next day. One way to measure it is that later, at the time of the death of Genghis Khan, the word went from Mongolia to Hungary in 6 weeks.
Mongolia to Hungary in 6 weeks. So let's just imagine this army that's able to move at such high speeds, does not need to follow roads because it's used to riding in the open steppe. So it can do all kinds of dynamic movements in encircling a place. And then also one of the other famous things is the feigned retreat that was used continuously. Can you explain how that worked?
The Mongols did not fight for honor the way we often think of brave soldiers, Achilles and the Iliad and things like that. They fought for victory. That was the one thing. So to retreat, to save lives and all, there's no shame in that. So the Mongols would often retreat, and Genghis Khan basically, he himself never fought a battle that he thought he could lose. And he won every battle he fought. That wasn't true for every general under him, as we said for Shigi Hutuk, for example. But he won every battle because there was no shame in retreating and in not fighting, not engaging the enemy. However, that also becomes a tactic, and that they would send in a small group of soldiers to attack. And the Mongols were able to fire, of course, going forward on the horse. They were able to then act like they were defeated and turn, but they could still fire backwards, which was the Parthian shot, which is unusual in the world, not totally unique, but unusual to fire backwards. But the Mongols also could lean down and fire under the neck of the horse, so they're protected. They had many different ways. So they're firing coming, they're firing going, but usually the soldiers who were against them would break ranks to chase them. They want to go, they want to get the weapons, they want to kill the Mongols. And if they didn't immediately break ranks, the Mongols would often start throwing things out like loot from someplace and valuables around, and the soldiers usually couldn't resist it. So they'd come chasing out after the Mongols, sort of pell-mell, going in every different direction. And then they would get to a certain point, and from behind the 2 hills, the Mongol army would come and slaughter them. Over and over, this tactic worked. It's like the one with the water. I'm thinking, the people, how can they not know this is what the Mongols are doing? How can they not know that?
Human nature. There is something that when the forces are retreating,
you want to follow them. You want to run after them.
You can't help it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. That's maybe the animalistic, but take that with the ability at high speeds for the Mongols to encircle and attack the flanks.
Yes.
Which there has been many great military historians who have written about the great military forces throughout history. And one of the things you write about, and in general, is the Mongols don't get written about almost at all, and don't get credit for the military tactics and the military genius exhibited through the different strategies. This kind of idea of the feigned retreat and then attacking the flanks, that's been, if not invented, then perfected by by Genghis.
He really was a military genius. But there were other things too. They didn't like roads.
Yeah.
They just didn't like the roads. So they would often be coming from some direction that nobody ever came from. And the people would be unprepared for that. The most famous example is probably in Bukhara. This is a beautiful, wonderful old city, a great place in the world to this day. And they came across the desert. Well, nobody had ever attacked across the desert, so people see dust coming. They think, well, caravan. They don't even know what's going on. But it was the direction that was a surprise element in that particular case. So he was able to think in ways that the other people were not thinking in, and to be able to surprise them.
What do you think it, again, felt like to have this Mongol armada, the horses? The ground must shake when you have that many horses. What do you think it feels like to be in a town when Genghis Khan is approaching?
I think the terror was one of the greatest weapons that he had, that he cultivated this reputation of ferocity. Not only did he win battles, but he didn't allow people to write about him, as we said, but he encouraged refugees. And when he conquered a city, he always made sure there were plenty of refugees to go to the next city, because it's going to weaken them. It's going to weaken their food supply, and they're going to terrorize the people with tales of the millions of people that the Mongols killed with their steel chiseled teeth and eating children and all kinds of horrible tales. Genghis Khan encouraged it. This is propaganda. It's terrorism of a mental sort to weaken the enemy. And so when you hear, or even if you know they're coming, you see the dust, you hear the kind of roar that comes with all those horses and the trembling of the earth. It must have been truly terrifying.